Welcome to Insight Builder channel, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. This particular discussion is going to be a little different. How? We are going to build self AI clone with help of Palm and Vertex AI large language models. A step-by-step guide to collect, ingest, and prompt your clone. So this collect, inject, prompt pipeline will be explained in a couple of minutes, but before that we have some philosophical question to ask. Self is a sum of, think about it, self is a sum of your nature and quality. If you go to Google or if you go to any of your dictionaries and ask what is self, you will be informed that it's person's nature and qualities. But how are we showing those qualities to the real world? Think about it for a moment. We currently are not just showing it, we are recording our qualities in the internet, in the web. And most of the large language models has been a collective training of the human intellect. Because if you have learned about large language models, if you have if you asked these questions to ChatGPT that how it was trained, etc., you would have heard that it was trained on huge, vast amount of internet data that has been it has been written for a past couple of decades right now, right? But as a person, as a human being, you yourself are showing and sharing lots of the information in the social media, in your posts, in your blogs, in your talks, in the resumes, in your tweets. So there are lots of places where you are recording your nature and qualities a lot. And moreover, we provide a lot of reviews. We actually share our needs, desires, beliefs, ideologies, habits, and thinking. All these are what currently our self is. And all this needs, desires, beliefs, actually it is difficult to quantify, but it is actually easy to see when you are going to with respect to your particular age, with respect to your demographic information, a lot of things about that particular demographic avatar. So if you are from the marketing background and if you are from sales and marketing background, you must have already heard of these avatars or the customer demographics. Each and every customer has his own tastes, needs, and desires, right? And these desires has been data analyzed, and these data analysis has been kept in the internet also. You can actually find it out, right? So if you go on the internet and ask what are the common desires, beliefs, and needs of a 16-year-old male, then you will actually get some details, a list of details. You can try it with ChatGPT also. The point I am trying to make here is that the self that you are having is actually sum of all this parts. And it is bigger than the sum, because once you have all these things, you yourself become a human being. So okay, this is what I was talking about, philosophy, because this is something that it is getting, we have to discuss this, right? You must have already come across lots of challenges that the AI, artificial intelligence world is right now facing, and you yourself must have already come across a couple of AI related bots of various influencers. You must have come across the products that are built around the AI influencers, right? But it's not just the AI influencers. Anybody can have their own bot, and I am going to show you how easy and how simple it can be. But before doing that, I have something more important. The challenge that is getting solved in this particular discussion. So we saw that what is a self, right? And we actually also see that we are recording all our needs, desires, beliefs, ideologies in the internet. That is something that we can take it for granted, right? Because everybody, most of us have LinkedIn, we have Medium, blog post, or you have some kind of a blog post, blog site where you upload your thoughts, upload your desires, needs, and you have Facebook page, you have tweets, and lots of stuff. And all this data can be collected, and it can be collected by you also. So that is the key point I wanted to make here. What is the challenge? Replication of the AI self. So I am telling it is a replication. Why I am telling it as a replication? Because yourself as a person is already, it's available in the internet. Okay, whether you like it or not, if someone wants to find out about you, they can actually find out a lot about you and your family, right? We all know that, and that's where the privacy part of the picture came in, right? We have seen lots of challenges the various companies are facing, and even this is something that I want to reiterate. Even the large language models are seeing your data. The applications that these large language models are creating are also seeing your data. Keep this in mind when you are sending the prompts, or adding your own data into these large language models. This particular discussion that you are having will be completely on a fictional character. It will not be on a real character. Okay, and if you are going to use it on a real character, that is yourself, ensure that you understand what you are doing. Okay, and this particular discussion is primarily to show you what is possible with simplest simplest things like tweets. And so you see here, I am creating a fictional character called Michael Karthik. He's an Indian software engineer working at Google, and this is pretty common, right? So there are lots of people, lots of male at this particular demographic working at Google, and they have their desires, needs, and all those stuff. They also have posts, tweets, backstory, etc., and all these things are not real. So it is a fictional character that is created using large language models itself. For, as you know, most of the time I actually insist on practicing. And now this particular Jupyter notebook I'll be sharing with you guys contains the necessary prompts, necessary code that you need to use for practicing. Okay, but before you practice, caution. This caution is very, very important. Underlying language model that will mimic yourself or the fictional self, your data can provide unexpected and troublesome responses. So whatever the large language model is providing is not what you are, because as I am already telling you, large language model has the lots of other data that has been trained with. So whatever we are going to do, there are two ways to do it. So keep this in mind. It can provide unexpected and troublesome responses. So if you have been following news, you must know one of the famous the artificial intelligence character or YouTube influencer that was released had the challenge of giving unexpected and troublesome responses, and the person is right now struggling to control the artificial intelligence, because see, you have to understand what is the large language model. If you don't understand it, then you are going to be in deep trouble. And use it with utmost care, and keep your data on prompts private, because whatever you are going to discuss in this particular video is going to be personal, right? It is going to, I wouldn't actually want you guys to put your data onto any of the LLMs. In fact, even whether it is Google or whether it is ChatGPT or OpenAI, it doesn't matter. If it is a locally hosted LLM that you are able to work with. So for an example, if you go to my earlier videos, I have discussed about, in my channel I have discussed about the GPT for all models. You can actually check it out. There are, even Hugging Face models have local, you can actually pull those models, open source models to your local environment, and you can actually prompt them. Currently they are not up to the mark, to the level of what we can find it out, what we can do with Bard or ChatGPT, but they are improving. Or else you can actually fine tune your own model using this particular video. There are lots of other options. So let me go back to the PDF. See, the reason why I'm actually having this discussion is that there has been a couple of questions that was raised by my own friends, and in the internet there has been lots of discussion going on, and it is going to rapidly improve. This kind of discussion is going to rampantly start right now, and I felt, okay, let us be the leaders, and let us share what is more important and how to deal with the upcoming change in the way we work in social environment. So you will see this by the end of this particular discussion. So there are two ways to replicate your AI self. So one is by fine tuning. So if I go back to the browser, you can use the TXT AI. If you go through this particular video, you will understand how to fine tune a small model with the data that you want. Okay, and you can also work with various other local models also. The second point is that you can use VectorStores. So the easiest option is to, instead of creating and fine tuning and doing a lot of stuff, you can take your data, okay, you can store it in a vector store, and then you can choose a part of the data that you can provide it as a context to the prompt that you are giving it to the large language model. So that is what we will be following. So I will be using this second part. Okay, so this particular vector store will contain all the details of the tweets, the posts, the blog, blog posts, LinkedIn posts, the preferences of varieties of things from food, music, cars, places, and even the dating partners. So everything will be included in this vector store as a character. Like, so you understand where this is going, right? This is the reason why I was discussing about the self. Self is a sum of all these things: needs, desires, beliefs, ideologies, etc., etc. Once you have this data, and once you start feeding it to the prompt, then you can have a very lifelike artificial intelligence model that can mimic yourself. Again, it can only mimic; it is not going to replace you. Again, I am cautioning you: ensure that you understand what these models are capable of. Okay, large language models are probabilistic models that has been trained using neural networks and a lot of internet related data. Okay, and probabilistic models, statistical models have their own way of deciding. It's not that they have their own way. It's mathematically programmed to select certain words that will come next to, for an example, responses. So it is probabilistically determined. So it's not that the large language models themselves have any kind of absolute control. The players or the people who host the large language models, the developers who are working on the large language models, have certain harnesses, guardrails they call it, to control the type of sentences, the type of data the large language model provides. But still, it is not perfect. Keep all these things in your mind, and also the responsibility lies with you. This is a discussion that I'm having because I really want you guys, whomever or whomsoever is watching this video, to realize that artificial intelligence is at a very nascent stage. Like it is the kid that is learning many new tricks. Even though it has been fine tuned, it has been trained, it is still a small kid. And I wouldn't even equate the large language models with a young human being, because it's much below that. It's a statistical model. It doesn't have goal. It doesn't have its own consciousness, or any even you cannot even attribute that it can have a consciousness. It's not a artificial general intelligence in any sense, but it can actually mimic the artificial general intelligence, right? We can actually make it to mimic. It cannot, at this moment at least, it cannot actually have its own goals. It cannot have its own objectives to do something, to reach something, or to achieve something. Unlike you and me, who have certain objectives, we create these lots of contents, arts, we go out, we hang out with friends, we do real stuff. But artificial intelligence, the large language models, are just models. They sit inside the computer. At this moment, keep this in mind again and again, and keep a responsible stance for the data that you're sharing with the large language models, and also the applications that use large language models. This particular discussion that you're going to have is going to be purely on a fictional character called as Michael Karthik. With that said, I hope, not this time I'm going to hope it, because this is a controversial topic, and I hope you like this and you would like to share it with others, because this is a discussion that you guys, your own colleagues, your own friends, have to have, and your own siblings and wards. You guys have to have this discussion, because they are going to be exposed to very different kind of an internet. What we were exposed to itself was totally different, but what they will be exposed will be completely radically different. So there will be lots of clones available out there that collects the data, that gives the feedback. So you'll see at the end of this video, the possibilities are infinite. With that said, do subscribe to my channel for further updates on similar kind of discussion on large language models and Python libraries. With that said, let us go to the browser. Now, the code itself has been already uploaded to this GitHub repo. You can take a look at that in the Bard exploration Bard. You can take a look at this particular folder, and we are going to directly jump into the discussion. So now this particular notebook contains the Google Cloud AI Platform library. This has been installed into this. You will need a Vertex AI Google Cloud Platform access for using this particular notebook. Even if you are not having it, I will explain to you what is going on so that it will be easier for you to work with other related large language models. Like if you are having OpenAI or if you are having any other large language model access also, you can tweak this notebook a bit, so it's not going to be difficult, right? With that said, ensure that you start this particular notebook and install all the necessary libraries. After that, you need to authorize it. You can use the authenticate user function here and it will authorize, and then we are going to import the Vertex AI. So this particular function is what going to connect with the large language model, the actual projects inside the Google Cloud, and it is going to get the necessary information. That is, it is going to get the prompt replies from the Google Cloud large language models, that is Vertex AI models. So I'm not going to go deep into this. I have discussed separately about this. This particular content is what we are going to provide it. And once you provide this content with temperature, etc., you are going to get the output. I'm not going to go in detail with respect to this particular discussion. What I'm going to go in detail is how I created the character. So you must have already heard a lot of discussion on writing books, writing novels with ChatGPT, right? You must have seen a lot of videos that has come out. But now what I've done is I used a similar kind of a technique, but instead of actually writing a novel, I have created a back history or a kind of a profile of a fictional character called as Michael Karthik, and I start from his birth, right? I start creating a small backstory revolving around his childhood, and then I ask for a 300 words backstory. And here I am having a very the prompt number I'm using is 0.2. You can actually change it for creative outputs, and from there it starts. So I start with the birth, and then I go to the posts, the LinkedIn articles. So I want 10 LinkedIn posts. So these are all fictional articles that has been created by the large language models itself. I am not scraping any data of any character and I am creating it. But you understand what is happening here. This particular childhood, the prompt can be really replaced by real world autobiographies. Correct? If you are going to write your own biography and your own childhood details, then you see where this is going. So that is where it starts. And then next, your own articles. So if you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Medium, if you go to any of the blog sites, you can download the entire posts that you have written and you can actually convert it into text file. Once you do that, you can actually upload that into the VectorStore. So I will show you step by step. That is the LinkedIn posts. All this data I am collecting and putting inside the file called as michaelkarthik.txt. So this is the file, and this file is also available inside this particular. So you see this here, you can get the file here. You can take a look at it, you can read about it. So LinkedIn post was done. I am taking the Medium articles. I'm just trying to request 10 Medium articles because see, I'm giving a lot of information about what topics the character is writing about, and what is his passion, what is his hobbies, etc., where he has graduated from. All these details are provided in the prompt itself, and I start getting the output. And then it comes tweets. So I have requested for 25 tweets. You can actually tweet. You can request for multiple tweets also, and also you yourself will have tweets and you can download your own tweets, right? And once you download them and put it inside a text file like how I have done, that will also become a data source. And then we have this is the interesting part. Every person has their own preferences like color, food, favorite places, hobbies, etc. The large language model actually can create fictional data about that also. Now all this data has been already stored inside this particular text file. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you a couple of information. Now you see the backstory that has been created, from where he was born, how he started studying, what were his preferences, and then it starts about how he got the first job at Google, and what is the project he is working on. He writes a lot of posts in both LinkedIn as well as in Medium. You see the the post about job details and post about new project, etc., comes in LinkedIn, and as it goes into Medium, his particular discussion surrounding machine learning starts showing up. So Python for data science, all these are fictional posts only, and fictional to a certain extent, because large language model is taking the data from the internet, as I was telling, and these particular posts were created by looking at a large amount of posts created by various people in this world, and this particular fictional character has been created out of it. This is something something you guys have to clearly understand. And so this is how the actual process starts. And if you go down, you see the preferences, the cars, what kind of cars he prefers, and what kind of music, what kind of hobbies he has got. All this information we can get it, and we can place it inside the data that we are going to get about a particular character. This is an introduction that I wanted to provide to you guys about the data. Once you have all the data, what we are going to do is we are simply going to read it. We are going to read the data, okay, and then we are going to use NLTK text splitter. So there are various text splitter available inside LangChain. Let us go back to the browser. So if you go to the browser, I have already shown that we are going to work with Python, we are going to work with Palm API, and we are also going to work with LangChain. So LangChain is useful for its primitives, that interesting primitives it has got, and out of that NLTK text splitter is one of the interesting ones. This particular text splitter, what it does is, let me show you. So it has an interesting way of splitting the entire paragraphs, entire sentences. So it does not blindly split the sentences based on the length. The recursive character splitter does that, but the NLTK splitter knows where to break it. Okay, based on the chunk size that you have provided, it knows where to break it, and it breaks it in the appropriate places. And also NLTK by default actually overlaps the sentences also. So you see that Michael's parent, you see these two lines, and these two lines are actually overlapping. And in this way, what happens is there are almost 41 different documents in this particular in this particular splitting, and all these documents are linked together. So no way the documents are separated. So when you are going to upload these documents into the vector store, I will show you to you in a couple of minutes. Then when you are going to retrieve from the vector stores, it becomes much more accurate. So that is the right word. It becomes much more accurate. It gives more reliable results. So that is one of the reasons why I chosen NLTK text splitter. So once that is done, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use open source embedding, and I'm going to embed the documents, using face store. I'm going to use face vector store. I'm going to use the Hugging Face embeddings, and I'm going to use the NLTK docs. That is this documentation that I created by splitting the Michael text. Once that is done, okay, now I can actually do the similarity search. So for an example, I'm asking the first query is, how was Michael's childhood? So I'm asking this question, and it is querying the vector store directly. This particular, so it is reconnecting. Just give it a moment. Yeah, it has connected, and now if I take a look at the docs, it will give the necessary documentation that is related to the childhood of Michael. So you see that he loved to play with siblings and friends. Let me zoom in a bit so that you guys can, I think it's already at 150 zooms. So you see Michael's parents were initially worried about his obsession on computers. Michael quickly rose through the ranks and became a successful engineer. So all these things we can see about the childhood. This particular context that we are getting, right, that will be used by the artificial intelligence. So this particular prompt is very, very important. So let me zoom out a bit. This particular function, right, this is going to create the prompt that the user, you or anyone else who is going to interact with the clone of you will actually interact with. So for an example, the user will ask something. Either he will ask something or he will just say something. So user will not, user might be someone who is trying to talk to you, or trying to find some information, or trying to get some advice from you. And all these things can happen. And it could be a question, it could be just exclamation, it could be data they are providing.
an information statement they are providing, right? So what I've created here is that this particular this particular part of the function is going to get the similarity search based on the question or the statement that the user is providing. Question is something which is more expected way of discussion with the artificial intelligence clone. So that's why I put it as question here. Once the question is provided, it goes to similarity search. It gets the various documentation from the vector store, which is related to the question. And then it collects all the text out of that question and keeps it ready. Next part, what happens, the prompt is getting built. The prompt starts with the question that the user provides or the statement, and then the prompt goes, reply to the question by thinking step by step. So this is one of the important point I want you guys to realize, that we have to instruct the large language model to think before it answers. This is very, very important. You can use the following context. So I say that you can use the following context that is collected from Michael's past. Okay, and I give the text that is collected here. Okay, and then you can share your thoughts before completing the reply and end the reply with 10 word question related to the discussion. So this is, you see what is happening here. So the AI clone will first of all get a statement or the question from the user, and then it will start first of all thinking what Michael has experienced in that particular context. So if Michael has never gone to, for an example, to New York City, okay, I'm just giving an example. And if the question is about New York City, probably the large language model has to know, okay, Michael has not gone to New York City, so it will has to formulate the reply accordingly. That is why this particular context is very, very important. And that is also one of the reasons why thinking step by step is also one of the major key point in this discussion. And then this is a regular thing that you can actually add it in your prompts, so that if you want the large language models to output its thoughts, it can actually output it. These prompts, these ideas I had taken from various agents that has been created in LangChain. So I have read the prompts that has been created in the agents. So that's how I came to know about this. And also I have read a lot of prompts that has been provided in various tutorials out there. So that is how I came to come up with this kind of prompt. And then I say end the reply with 10 word question. This is the key point. See, every friend or every associate or interesting people always ask a question. So they want to listen to you, and that's why you like that particular person, right? Yeah, they do give a lot of information. They make you make a lively environment. That is there, but a person who listens to you by asking questions to you, the more they get involved in your day-to-day challenges, you start talking to them a lot more than someone who talks about themselves, right? In order to ensure that AI does not just talk about itself, your clone does not talk about you more, you actually ask question. You want the clone AI to ask questions. In this way, this question is not something that you are deciding here. The question can be about anything. It can be about anything. So if you don't say related to the discussion, and if you just stop it 10 word question, then it can be about any question, any context. So here I am actually specifically telling it should be related to the discussion. So this is the key point. Let me go back to the PDF for a moment. As I was explaining that we are actually collecting the various information about yourself, and then you are going to convert it into the vector store. You are going to convert it into the vector store, and then you are going to use the data that is available in the vector store and create the prompts. So the collect part is where you are going to collect the information that you already have. You are going to ingest that information into the vector store, and then you are going to create the prompt. This is the 3 steps that I was talking about in this heading: collect, inject, and prompt, CIP pipeline. Go back to the browser, and here we see that this is the first question. So today was interesting and enjoyable. How was your day, Michael? Someone is asking this basic information, and you see the prompt that is getting created. So I have created this Jupyter notebook in such a way that you can first see the prompt. this is the prompt that we started. So this is the question that has come, okay? And I have, the prompt goes, reply to the question by thinking step by step. You can use the following context, and the context is provided here, okay? And the context is more about the job, the first day at work, the LinkedIn post that is related to the position of work, etc., etc. And then it also talks about what he likes, what Michael likes. So all these are given as context, and then that particular prompt is fed into the large language model for reply. And then the reply comes, my day was good, thanks for asking. I had a productive day at work and I got to spend a lot of time with my family. It tells a lot about itself, and then it ends, so how was your day? So this is the key point I was talking about. So the model has followed exactly what you have told. So it has started by taking the question, it has looked at the context, and then it has ended with the question that you have instructed it. The next step. So now what happens, the user says, my day was a bit hectic and had a rough time with my boss. Okay, this is one of the rant that is going on, and this starts. So again, the first day of work, all the context is taken out, and the context is used, and you see the reply. So the reply is, sorry to hear about that, hope your day gets better, and do you want to talk about it? This is what is the key about interactive artificial intelligence models. We did not do anything different here, right? All we did was create a prompt that had a context, that had a backstory, and that had an instruction which tells it to create a 10-word question. This is the key aspect of creating your own clones. And here I am only talking about text. Let me go back to the presentation. So here everything that I have been discussing is in this particular Jupyter notebook is about text way of interacting, but all this can be converted to audio and speech related in matter of connecting a couple of other models that is already available, like Whisper from OpenAI, or even Google Palm has their own speech model. You can, and also there are lots of open source models also, which is again from OpenAI's Whisper also, it's available. You can connect it and you can start getting, you can speak to the artificial intelligence model, and you can expect a very good replies from the artificial intelligence models also. So it is actually surprisingly easy. So you see why I have put this much big caution, because it's surprisingly easy. And if you don't understand what is going on behind this, what are the steps that is happening, it could be a little bit of a trouble later. First and foremost, it can give unexpected responses. The AI, the self clone that you are creating, you may be really a good person. You will never do certain things, or you will never say certain things in your life. But the large language model, on the contrary, has been trained on a lot of different data which comes from varied people in this world. And about people, they are not same. Like our fingers, they are never same. In that way, you have to know what is going on. So this AI clone that I am talking about here, it's completely fictional. This is just only for your educational purpose. If you are going to, in future, there is going to be very good models that can be controlled appropriately based on your preferences and based on your style, your character, your way of thinking, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, keep this in mind. So you will be given an opportunity to develop your own large language models. That is how the world is going to go. So be ready and start thinking about what kind of artificial intelligence clone you will get yourself. I mean, you will have to build it yourself, right? It's possible. And yeah, there will be lots of applications that comes out surrounding this large language models, this way of speech and talking. The 3D what is it called, the AR VR world will start implementing such models in rapid pace. Already there is a lot of discussion about companies or organizations uploading their data, like as I was telling here. So I uploaded your data here. So this particular step uploads your personal data. The same way companies can upload their data, whatever they are having, their employees' data, their important information, their mission, vision, all the stuff, they can upload it here. And they can get the employees to talk with the model and get the information. What's more interesting is that they don't need to have a website. Think about it. Website actually provides information, but if the website is going to be completely loaded into a artificial intelligence clone, and that clone is able to tell you everything that you want, then will you go to a website? I actually doubt it. Now, these are all the ideas that I'm talking about. And all these are happening from the basic large language models. And that is the possibilities. As I was telling, the possibilities are infinite. But keep one thing in mind. The reason again and again I am going to this particular slide, the caution slide, is that the data that you are providing is going to be fed to the large language models, or it is going to be fed to the server that is hosting the large language models. The companies that host or own the server will be seeing your data. That is first step. Second step is, if the application, like for an example, let me go to the browser. This particular notebook is hosted in Collab, okay? And this particular program that is running can be hosted by kind of a API application, and that application owners also will see the data that is getting passed to the large language models. So you see, there are two places where your data can get shared with others. Those people who actually see your data can have their own data related policies. So that is something that you need to be clear. You have to read the policies. You need to ensure that your data is not just safe. You need to ensure that your data is not used. I mean, it should not be used inappropriately. Now you see that your data can be used for creating, you see the main reason why I spoke about this, that it can actually create clones of yourself, and these clones can do or share a lot of information that you have it in your private database. So ensure that you know how to keep your data safe. That is very, very important. And also keep your prompts private, because the way you are going to prompt is also very, very important. The prompt engineering has grown rapidly, but prompting is something that you can do it creatively also. You can ask the large language models to create different types of data sets, different types of creative outputs. You must have already seen this, and you can give the context also. So when you're going to give the context, like as I have given here, then the things become little challenging, right? Because your personal data, if you are going to store it in a vector store, it is going to go not just to the application, it is going to go to the large language model hosting server also. So ensure that you know all these risks before you share your personal data or create any kind of artificial self-cloned large language models. So with that said, I've already come to the end of this particular discussion. It's quite a long discussion. We had pretty interesting ideas to discuss in this particular in this particular video, I believe. I hope that you like it. Do leave a like and share it with others. This particular topic, again, as usual from my all the other videos, this is something that we have to discuss and we need to understand more deeply. And there is a lot of hype around this particular technology right now, and lot of young people are getting hooked to the artificial intelligence, and they are using it for day-to-day discussions and trying to find out new information through the large language models. They should be aware what kind of information they are sharing and where the information about themselves are getting stored. Apart from that, do subscribe to my channel for discussion related to such topics related to artificial intelligence and Python related libraries, big data related concepts, etc. and etc. With that said, I would like to leave with 4 words. That is, as usual, this time it is going to be practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.